Jesus was a rock star.
Bless God. Well, as you know, we watched this already. Switch changes everything. Ring closed. That's in there from last week. We are still doing that. And I just got to tell you again, as we walk through this, leadership thing, and I gotta get forward to my actual. I believe that we are on a mission from God. I don't have the Blues Brothers clip for you today, but I believe it is still so true. And as I've been going through this book again, because I read it this last summer, and knew that I wanted to share this book with you during this period of time. And I've never actually done a book club with you guys before where we just preach, I take chapters out of a book. But I'm shamelessly stealing all the good ideas from this book because I think God has an idea for us. I think he's got a plan for us. And we're just going to run towards it. These are just the different chapters in it, and that's the book. I encourage you to read it on your own. You won't be disappointed if you do, but it's all about lead like it matters. And Craig Groeschel makes a big deal in this book that some businesses have it and some businesses just don't have it. Some churches have it and some churches just don't have it. And he has, I don't know if it's the biggest church in the country or not, but it's a massive church. Their main church is in Oklahoma, but they have satellite churches all over the world where they have and what a satellite church is they'll have a campus. We went to one in Fort Worth, Texas. There was a live worship team there. There was a campus pastor there that did the announcements, and he did like the prayer at the end and the prayer at the beginning and stuff. But then they pump in a message with Craig Groeschel's face on it, and he preaches a message, and he said that we have these campuses all over the world, and all of their buildings look the same, or almost all their buildings look the same. Their children's program is exactly the same. The training is exactly the same. The songs are the same. But somehow, some of the churches have it, and some of the churches don't have it. And he goes to great pains in the book to describe that it doesn't matter if you've got stained glass windows, you can still have it. It doesn't matter if you have new music or old music or what. There's all kinds of different kinds of businesses and churches that have it, and some just don't. And so I don't know that we have it, but we're going to keep chasing it. And some people might say, but I'm here to tell you that we are going to get it today. And we're going to get it one way or the other. We're just going to pursue what we feel like God has. For us. And so that is the mind map up there today. Two of the weeks, I'm going to put 2 chapters together in the book. That's where those little squiggly lines are. And because then we'll get done before Easter. And so I thought that those would be the shortest chapters for me to go ahead and be able to do that on. But today, we're talking about divine focus. Now, last week, it was about vision. We have to have a vision. We want to see with our imagination and our faith, the things that God has. But once we have a vision, we need to have divine focus. And because, let me just recap again last week, I guess. Last week, I told you that our vision can be boiled down. Well, we used to do our prayer. Remember our prayer? Jesus, help me to be what you want me to be. Do what you want me to do, because people without you go to hell. This is actually the same vision, just so you know. It's just that we're articulating a little bit how we want to do that. It's actually the same thing. At the Rock, you can belong before you believe. That means if you're here today and you are a Wiccan, we love you. I want you to find Jesus because I love you that much. However, that's our relationship is not dependent on that. You're allowed to disagree with me, and we can still be family. We can still be friends. We can still love each other. So at the Rocking belong even if you don't believe yet. That is because I believe very strongly that that's really the best way for someone to meet Christ, because if we come across like judgmental jerks, it just doesn't work. If it worked, I'd do it, but it doesn't. It doesn't work. And so we want people to open up their hearts and minds. But today, so that is what our vision is. But today we want to focus in just a little bit.
Some students surprise their teacher with colorblind glasses, and it's so wholesome.
Oh my god. Hey. Okay. Man, you got...
I'm crying, man.
I love all you guys, man. For real, you're the best.
This severely colorblind student was given glasses by his principal that allowed him to see color for the first time.
So what do you think then? Is it pretty cool? That's awesome. Hey, come here. Come here, dude. Oh, I'm so happy.
Grandpa was gifted colorblind glasses, making him see for the first time in his life, and he instantly started tearing up.
It's so clear, I can't believe it. Papa, look at the hat. Oh my god.
A teenager was surprised with colorblind glasses, making him see colors for the first time ever, and his joy is amazing.
Bro, this is, bro. This is what y'all. Bro, what? Bro. What? Bro. Bro! Oh, dog! This is so crazy! This is so crazy! Bro, this is so...
For his 50th birthday, a man was surprised with colorblind glasses so he could finally see colors for the first time in his life.
This is pink.
Huh? Look at my pants. Blue jeans, right? This is crazy.
Good news, if you're colorblind, for about $300, these glasses, you might try those. But I wanted something about vision. So I was looking for videos and stuff, and I found that one. And I saw some of you wiping your eyes. I did too. I was like, this is powerful, man. And I got to thinking, you know, the experience like that for me was when Jesus came into my life for real. You know, that moment of grace when you realize and your eyes are open and you see it for the first time. And a lot of us can point to that exact moment in our lives when that happened. And it's just like somebody lifted a veil. All of a sudden, there's clarity, divine focus. Now, what we're going to be talking about today, there's a couple other books that if you want more on this subject, Simple Church and Good to Great. They're basically the same book. They're really not the same book, but the same principle is there. Is great companies in the Good to Great and great churches are simple. Their vision is simple and their methods are simple. They don't do too much. In both of these books, you find the author just railing on the idea that if you do too much, you're going to do nothing well. And to one of the examples in Good to Great was GE had so many different companies. They were doing everything. And they went through, and I don't remember the percentage of the companies, but they went through all of their companies, and any business that they weren't one or two in, they sold. And their stock took off again, and they had a new generation of, and I didn't know this until I read The Good to Great, that they invented plastic. And so that was one of the things that they were a chemical company. And that was their base. Anyway, a simple church, simplify, simplify, simplify. Nye Cuban says, nothing can hold more power in your life, because this is both personal and institutional, than concentrating all of your energies on a limited set of targets. If you try to do everything, you'll end up doing nothing. And we see that in the scripture as well. It says, no, dear brothers and sisters. This is Paul writing to the Philippians, I have not achieved it. And so it's really not even about getting it for me. To be honest with you, do I have absolute 100% faith that we're going to be a church of 300 next year or 500 or 1,000? No. But do you know what I do know? That's actually not that important to me. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today, what I feel like the Lord is asking us to focus on. And I'll tell you what, it isn't for a big church. We would do things different if that was our core value of what we wanted. And so we're going to talk about that. So I have not yet achieved it because I get distracted all the time. But I focus on this one thing, forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead. This is what it's like when we get it. And there's also, it doesn't, I'm going to press on. I haven't achieved it, but I'm going to focus on it. Like the fog just lifts. And to be honest with you, this summer was kind of like that for me. Now, I've talked about my sabbatical quite a bit, but of course I read this book during my sabbatical, and so it's one of the reasons why it was right there for me. And to be honest with you, I was faithful for all of those years. At no point in time that I've fallen to sin. As a matter of fact, and I've told you this before, but I just want to remind you, at the same period of time that things were going to get hard for me, and when I say hard for me, you guys were nice to me. I didn't miss any paychecks, right? I didn't. It's just nothing seemed to work ministry-wise. But at about the same time that I was going to go through a period of about 3 years where just not much happened. It's like everything I just tried to do, it just kind of didn't work as well. It's like nothing worked. Lord, what's going on? And now I believe that the Lord led me into it. The first clue that I had, that it wasn't me doing something wrong, but it was the Lord leading me through it. The first clue was when my counselor told me at the end of my intensive counseling, because I was burned out pretty good. And he said, Scott, I don't think you're clinically depressed. You have all the symptoms of being clinically depressed. But he said, I think that you are going through a God-given desert period. Now, you say that to a preacher, we know what that means. John the Baptist had desert period. Jesus had desert period. Elijah had desert period. These chunks of time in saints' lives where nothing happens. It's not like nothing happened around here, but everything's hard and things don't work like they normally do, and it's dry, and God's not speaking. You know, I prayed so many times, Lord, if you don't tell me what to do, I'm just going to make the best choice I know how to make and do that, you know. But here I am, anytime you want to say something. And when I was, so that was the first clue that I had. Now, it wasn't until, okay, I came back in September. It was the middle of September, maybe 3/4 of the way through September, I came to another revelation. I did the math. Because a few years ago, and this is quite a few years ago, I think 6 years ago, or you know, and it depends on how you measure it, how long things have been hard. But we haven't had significant growth for at least 6 years. At the same time that I was about to go through the most challenging personal time in my life and ministry, the Lord gave me a present. And if you've been hanging around here, you know what that present is. I wake up early in the morning whether I want to or not. And so I went through a period of time, and I still get up at that time in the morning and have my time with the Lord. But I was spending about 3 hours a day with the Lord. I was deep diving. My Bible software was getting a major workout. I would pray, I would sing, I would study deep. And not every day was good, but most days were good, you know? And it was kind of in how my emotional week would go. Sunday would happen, and if we had a small crowd like we do today, it'd get me really discouraged, you know. But then Monday, I would get back up again. And then I'd spend time with Jesus, and I would start out my time with Jesus feeling like a loser. But at the end, it was like, okay, God, we got this. I needed that time with the Lord. So isn't it interesting that the Lord gave me such a present that I'll have for the rest of my life of having that sweet, sweet time in the morning. And I stayed up late one night this week to pick up Ingrid not from the hospital, it's from the airplane. And so she got home late on Friday night, and I stayed. I did not make it. I tried to stay up, but I fell asleep in the chair. Elizabeth woke me up, and we went and got her. But I'm the first one to go to bed. But I wake up 3:30, 4 o'clock. My alarm does not wake me up very often, and it just vibrates my wrist. What a gift from God. So it was a good time, but it was hard. But when I came back, and I was driving back from Chicago. It was the end of June, or middle of June. Something like that. And it was all of a sudden, it was like a fog lifted. And I don't know how to describe it any other way. It was like I could see again. And I felt some things in my gut that I already knew I had to do. It's like I felt like I was hearing from God again. And for instance, I knew I was going to share this book with you, you know. I knew that I was going to take the first first chunk of time until Christmas to focus on just having fun with you guys. You know, these are some of the plans that are already kind of starting to come into my heart. And they've done, and I love our church. God has been, he has blessed me so much, and you have been such a blessing, and it's just so good. So anyway, it's like a fog lifts. Forgetting the past and looking towards what lies ahead. I press on to reach the end of the race, to receive the heavenly prize. Where's my reward? It ain't here. Now, God likes to bless me. He has given me a family that really loves me. I have a lot of fun with. He's given me parents that are good to me, and we like each other. And he's given me you, and I like you, and you like me most of the time. And so he's given me a lot of incredible blessings. But the real prize is when I get to see my Jesus face to face. That moment when I can look him right in the eyes. And I don't know what that moment's going to be like, but I know it's going to be awesome. But here's the thing. I like studying deep sometimes. And so there's that word press on. In the Greek, the biblical senses is one of the definitions for it is to persecute, to cause to suffer physically or emotionally. So, in other words, when we press on, sometimes we're suffering. Sometimes God isn't talking like you wish he did or like he used to. It doesn't necessarily mean he's mad at you, because he did the same thing to Jesus. We talked about this in Bible study I was in this week that Dallas was at. I mean, if you think that your life is going to be just roses after serving Jesus, go have a conversation with John the Baptist, who died in prison while Jesus was preaching in town. You know, Jesus doesn't even go to visit him. And he dies in prison. How about Peter, who's crucified upside down? How about Elijah, who had the whole kingdom against him? How about David, whose army is turning against him? It is pretty normal for people God loves for God to allow them to suffer some pain. Now, I don't like pain. I prefer not to have pain. So I don't want that for any of you, but I'll tell you what, I can tell the same story that I know a lot of you can tell. And that is when you look at some of the most painful times in your life, you never want to go through that again, but you're like, you know, God, it was worth it. It was worth it. I would do that again. I don't want to go through it again, but I loved what you did in me because of that. And so the other one is to chase, to press on. You're chasing after it. And boy, when things are dark, it's like you're chasing. You're just running. I'm going no matter what. You get that grit, that eye of the tiger, involving great effort, striving. And so we need divine focus. Now, it's one thing to focus in the world, okay? You focus on your business, or you focus on this or a goal, and you just focus all your attention on a few things. But in the church, we need divine focus. We don't just want to pick something randomly that we want for ourselves. We want to say, God, who have you made me to be? God made you to be somebody. He created you uniquely. You are naturally going to enjoy different things than I do. It's just how he gears us. I have weaknesses where you have strengths. You have strengths where I have weaknesses. Right, that's it. Anyway, yeah, so I have weaknesses either way, apparently. But God has made you that way. He made us different for that reason. So in ministries, we have a